Am I looking at the camera
You
now?
can just look in the screen. So it says we're going live right now across our social media. So welcome everybody.
Excited
This is
to
just a
be
dry
here.
run for us, Harrison. But Harrison, would you like to do a brief meditation? Or
Sure.
let me put it like this to you. One of the things I think you know, and just for anyone in the audience that knows, Harrison and I have done podcasting together for quite some time.
Yes.
And Harrison, you're from Australia. What part of Australia are you from?
So I grew up on the East Coast. I grew up, for people that know, I grew up in Canberra, which is the capital on the sort of east, and then I moved up north near Byron Bay, for people that are aware. So it's like this is Australia, right? You can see the shape kind of like Australia. I'm like over here.
Okay, because when I went in 2012, I flew into Brisbane and drove up to Cairns. Is that how you say Cairns? Because you don't say the R.
Yes, so I'm about 4 hours south of Brisbane. So
okay.
Yeah.
No, I
but
love
that's you went to the best. You went to the best area, Jason.
I love Australia. It's like it's a place I feel like I need to go back to. It's not. I missed the Great Barrier Reef on that trip. The last boat to go to the Great Barrier Reef went out the night before my flight, so I couldn't. I'm like, I'm coming back. But
it was meant to be.
Absolutely,
it was meant to be.
Harrison, share with us where you are right now.
So, like you said, I grew up in Australia, but I haven't lived there for a while. Currently, I'm in so people can see in the background, I'm in the mountains of Italy, serving, guiding, leading the people here. I spend a lot of my time, as you know, in the sort of mindfulness, emotional intelligence, spiritual world, and communities like this that are starting to sprout up around the world, like communities that are not completely off grid, but they're sort of detached from sort of the matrix reality. They're needing people like us. I would include you in this category.
Absolutely.
To sort of balance the living together, right? Because when people live together, as you know, with your mum, and like it's
balanced, right?
Yes. So these skills of like emotional intelligence and regulation and spiritual attunement, they're applicable to everyone.
I want to share, because this is a dry run. We weren't really expecting to do anything too extensive today, but I just think the dynamic of us being able to do this is so exciting.
Let's flow.
We're gonna be talking about the embodied heart.
It's beautiful.
And I know your original podcast dealt with the cosmic antenna, right?
Yes.
And I'd like to ask you about the evolution from the cosmic antenna to the embodied heart.
Good question. So yes, you're alluding to, if you want to call it, I had a brand around this term, cosmic love antenna, and I referred to that as us. That's what we are, in my opinion. We're an antenna of love that connects inside to the outside, right? To be very specific and clear. And to me, it was beautiful, and we resonated a lot on it with a lot of topics we talked about being psychic, about being intuitive, about like all the mystical things and guides and ancestors, all applicable still. But I guess my transformation from that to what I do more now is to do with more of the human side of it all, right? Because I think it's valuable to connect to our spiritual gifts and nature, and I still very much believe that to be true. But what I think is more and more important as I get older is, who's the human here? Who's the human, for example, that goes through a spiritual awakening and has some kind of fight or flight, stressed, anxious reaction to that, right? Who's the human that maybe hears guides or ancestors or gets intuitive downloads, but then their body has a nervous breakdown because they can't hold that energy.
So true.
So
I mean, that's so true.
So that, to me, and we don't even need to talk about the spiritual stuff, right? We live in a world where people are just on a constant fight or flight state, stressed out by all the things, where I can talk to them about the deep stuff going on inside of them, but if they don't feel regulated in their body, embodiment, if they're not embodied, then they're not going to hear anything, right? You're not going to be able to do anything. So which is why now in my work I spend so much time doing meditations, for one, right? But those meditations, like if you were to summarize all of them, I have over 100 and 30 different meditations now across 5 different platforms. If you were to summarize all of them into one thing, it would be peace, presence, and safety. And
I love
if you
that,
can,
actually.
if you can bring those 3 things together, Jason, and I'm sure you're seeing this with your mom, right? You're seeing this with
Yes,
yourself.
as a caregiver,
Like,
correct.
like the chakra system, right? There's a reason that the root chakra is the first one, right? Safety, stability, physical support. If that is not there, the energy can't flow upwards.
You're right about that. Think about it. Without stability, you don't have anything else. You're going to be wondering, you'll be too consumed. You won't be
Yes.
able to level up.
Yeah. So, yeah, I hope I answered your question. And it's,
Oh, you did.
I still like, and this is why we're doing this team up now. Like I want to still speak about, like there's someone I'm working with at the moment that, has all these beautiful spiritual gifts. And like once we get regulated, once we get embodied back into the body, then we can access, deeper levels of hearing things that aren't there, right? Seeing things that aren't there, right? Like hearing your ancestors. And so it's, it's all connected.
You know what impresses me about you? Authenticity, living to your true self. And I feel like that's such a valuable thing that so many people lose focus of when they're chasing after the next big thing in their material life. It's like we need to be authentic with ourselves, and we need to be authentic with our path. And I think you are a clear delineation of that, in the sense that you've been on your own journey, but you've been authentic about it every step of the way. And I think that's why you are finding fulfillment and gratitude in everything you're doing right now.
I mean, thank you, Jason. I receive it. and I'm definitely not perfect at it, right? It's like it's a constant. And for me, this is where some of the emotional regulation comes into the conversation, right? You can't be authentic if you are projecting your, and I'll say this with the nicest way possible. You can't be authentic if you're projecting your shit out into the world, right?
Correct.
Correct. So yeah, thank you for your compliment. And that authenticity for me has come with a lot of emotional ownership, right? Emotional responsibility, right? Emotional, like if I'm like today, for example, Jason, like you texted me this morning, my time, and that when you texted me, it feels like 2 days ago, because between then and now, I feel like I've lived 4 different lives in terms of the emotional roller coaster of my day, right? And that's not a Harrison thing, right? This is a spiritual being having a human experience. And if we can regulate that emotion, and it doesn't mean suppressing, it also doesn't mean spiritual bypassing. If we can regulate, integrate, authenticity is a symptom, in my opinion.
A symptom of higher striving, you think?
A symptom of constantly seeking balance.
Okay.
Right? Seeking harmony within yourself. Right?
That's
seeking, yeah, the equilibrium. Like the example I give, one of the examples, everyone knows the yin and the yang symbol, right? And there's a light section with a speck of darkness. There's a dark section with a speck of lightness. Very important. Right? We could have a whole conversation just on that. But just in relevance to harmony, I think all of our goals should be the middle, right? The line that goes between them, right? Between the light and the darkness, there is a fine line. And we're going to be imperfect. We're going to be messy. Sometimes we're going to be just in the darkness. Sometimes we're going to be, all light and love. And, even that becomes toxic sometimes. But we want to have the balance. And that line, Jason, in my opinion, that's the authentic line when you walk it.
That's also the hard part, right? Because people don't realize that fine line sometimes. And I think they try to find meaning in something that they can't see it right away, and they have to work towards it. And it takes a certain level of balancing to get to that point.
Yeah. And I mean, I'll take the word out that you said meaning. Often I can balance, like right now, as I speak to you, I would say I'm quite balanced. And I would ask myself, is that a coincidence, or is it because I'm doing something, as you said, purposeful to me at the moment, that is on my authentic path, that lights me up, right? I love speaking to you in general, but I also like speaking to you about these topics. So it's in alignment with my purposeful mission. And again, a symptom of that, it's much easier to walk that fine line.
I feel like, here in the States, there's always that joke like four people get in an elevator and there's a punchline. I feel like us talking about spiritual things could be a punchline to other people because we could just start talking about these concepts and other people are like, what are you talking about? But for us, it's kind of like that enjoyment of having the ability to have this kind of conversation because in our daily lives, you find other people
talk about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It makes it. I think for me, the meaning and purpose are very important on my scale of things that I consider valuable.
Yeah, and I'll speak for you, Jason. I would say you're like me in regards to you're a very accepting and loving person. And when you're in the presence, right? And this comes back to the embodiment, right? When you're in the presence of someone else that also has that same safety and acceptance and love, then maybe for the first time in your life, for most people, you can relax and just be yourself. Just be, right? Because how much of our time, and I'm sure you've lived this like I have, how much of our time are we pretending to be something that we're not?
Everybody does that, right?
Yeah, like 95%.
Being your true self is sometimes people have so much of a mask up that I'm sure they're exhausted when they're at the end of their day and that mask falls off their face and they're living with their true self. And my thing is, if you're living with your true self, try to make it so you don't have to put so much effort into it. Enjoy your true self so you don't have to hide yourself from other people.
Yeah, and I think a way to do that is surround yourself with people that you feel, right? Let's just use our relationship, right? When we first met, I think 3 years ago.
Yeah.
My mind couldn't tell you why it felt good. It just felt good. There was just a connection, right? Because I, much like you, have a podcast with hundreds of episodes, and if I'm being honest, I didn't resonate with, definitely not with all of them. And so the question is, why do we feel good around some people and not? And I think that could be a whole other conversation. Yeah,
that's a whole series right there, right?
Yeah, that's a whole series. But to the theme of what we're talking about here, you don't need to necessarily know to just show up, right? Like today, for example, where we set the intention to do a trial run, to have a conversation, right? To test this out, to hopefully keep doing it in the future.
Here we are.
And for me, all I need to know for that is, do I feel good in Jason's energy? The answer is yes. So let's go, right?
And look how we can make this go and work in such a way where it seems seamless, and we're here touching base for the first time on just testing out the live, right?
But it's easy. And
absolutely.
And for people tuning in, this is not an us thing, right? It's, yes, I would say, have a unique relationship, but the thread of being able to find that in your life, in the person's individual life, we all have that ability.
Absolutely. I want to ask you this. When you look at your own journey with meditation and leveling up, because I think so many people say level up, level up. You hear athletes say it, you'll hear, famous people say it, you'll hear it in a yoga room and a meditation place. And for me, leveling up is being real and true with myself, allowing myself to make mistakes, not having judgment about things from my past, and waking up every day, lifting my head off the pillow and looking forward to something that's ahead. Like this morning, I woke up and I was like, yes. 12:30 my time. I'm doing a live with Harrison. We're going to be testing this out. Like, I want to ask you about your journey. Have you found that the more you wake up and you focus on what's ahead for your day rather than what's behind you, that it seems like things are lighter and flow better?
I would say yes and no. So yes, in terms of if my day is full of things that I already know light me up. So like in your example, right, you talking to me and doing a live going to light you up from your past experience, right? Because there's a familiarity. So if my day is full of things that I've already experienced and my mind feels safe to relax and let go into it, then yes, it's great. But I think what is more valuable, and again, this is where meditation comes in, is we don't need to plan for the future, or we don't need to attach our happiness to the future if we have a practice of finding our happiness in the present, right? And that practice, mindfulness, meditation, right? Being out in nature, being in community with people that you care for, being in love, in an act of love, whatever that is for you. So all of those things are examples in my reality that bring me back to the present. And when I'm present, I'm very rarely not purposeful. I'm very rarely not at ease. I'm very rarely not, my anxiety and my overthinking tendencies. I'll give an example.
They subside, right?
Yes, they sometimes they don't subside, but your awareness is not lost in them. So I'll give you an example. So here, a practical example. Here, 2 days ago, I told you we had a retreat. There was a Qigong retreat here in this place, and we were facilitating it, and I participated in one of the sessions. And Qigong, for people that don't know what it is, it's very slow moving meditation, basically out in nature, slow breathing and moving, and during that moving meditation, I felt two things simultaneously. At the same time, I felt my mind going, right? All the thoughts. What's happening next week? I got the live with Jason. I've got my clients. I've got the meditation I need to record. All the things, right, going. And then simultaneously, I also felt my awareness in the present moment, feeling very relaxed, very connected to the birds and the sounds and the beautiful scenery. So, I think what it's about, when we can become present, we don't necessarily stop thinking. I don't think that should ever be the goal of any kind of mindfulness and meditation, because your mind is meant to think. That's its job. But it's a conversation about where is most of our awareness. If 100% of our awareness, which is most of us, is stuck in our mind, of course we suffer. But if we can remember that our awareness is so much bigger than just the mind, then we have a choice. Then we can respond instead of react.
Absolutely. I like the way you just phrased that, where you have the choice, because so many people think they're trapped in their mindset, their depression, or whatever it is. And I tell people that I'm close with, or people I just communicate with, that when you're struggling, when you feel trapped, that's almost like signaling a white flag. You gotta release that blockage and don't think you're trapped. Like, think of yourself as in transition or in flux.
Yes.
Like, there's never a reason to feel trapped about anything. And when it comes to paradigm shifts, like, I've had things stripped away from my life the last 2 years, right? Old friends, an old job, whatever it was, titles. But honestly, I feel the freest I've ever felt my entire life. And I think sometimes when you let go of certain things and surrender to it, you could feel really empowered by it. And I think that's what you're living with your life example. And I think that's what I'm starting to see at this stage of my life from where I'm at. When you let go of those things that drag you down, exhaust you, deplete you, that's a disservice. You got to let go of those things. You can't have it feed you every day and create those what if thoughts or that tension or whatever it is, right?
There's so much that we can talk
state
about,
of calm,
Jason.
right? I know. That's why I'm glad working with you, collaborating with you.
This is why, and I have to jump out here in a second, but I want to say a couple of things. Firstly, we need to do this series, right? And then hopefully all the people tuning in today have enjoyed this warm up. Next conversation, I think you're already planning this, but next conversation will be a little bit more structured with a specific theme, and we'll center around that theme. I'll also mention to people that I think, Jason, you're already streaming on your socials, but I'm also on all the socials. So if you're watching on TikTok or Facebook, you can find me at Harrison Meagher, Meagher spelled Meagher, Harrison Meagher. So definitely reach out to me. I always love to connect with people that resonate with these topics that that Jason and I talk about. But so I'll end with this. You know, another way of saying trapped, right? The choice to be trapped. The best way to say that, in my opinion, is the victim, right? If we're choosing to be trapped, we're also choosing to be the victim. And I would debate that the victim is the only true dis-ease that exists. I would say that all dis-ease, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, starts from victim consciousness. And whole conversation just with that.
That's a whole topic.
I want to plant the seed, because what am I saying there? Because what you're saying, Jason, is as soon as we choose to become the victim, we're choosing to give our power away. Right? We're choosing to give our power away to a health condition, to a government, to a abusive partner, to a whoever. Right? You know, as someone that experienced abuse as a teenager, I know the story of feeling like I'm the person that was attacked. And on some levels, yes, I was. But I was only able to free myself from that emotional, mental, physical pain until I took ownership and allowed myself to step out of the victim and back into empowerment. So I
love that.
I want to leave that with everyone, and to really sit with where in your life, because you're choosing it. I was choosing the victim. I'm sure, Jason, you chosen the victim in your life. Where are you choosing the victim? Mostly unconsciously, probably. And where can you consciously choose to liberate yourself from it?
That's so true. And allowing yourself the space and the room and the grace in that process.
Well, that's often what helps us to let it go. Right? We can't drop the victim if we don't love ourselves. We can't grow our wings back into empowerment if we first don't offer ourselves compassion and grace, and realize that, you know, we're only ever doing the best that we can. And when we know better, we do better. And
absolutely,
that doing comes with a lot of softness, in my experience.
I appreciate you jumping on here and having this impromptu conversation with me and with
I
our
appreciate
audience.
you, Jason. We knew it. We knew it was going to be magic.
And we'll be back Friday. So Friday at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time, which is, I guess, excited. In the evening by you in Italy. But
awesome. Love you, my friend.
Love you too, sir.
Soon. Thank you. Send me WhatsApp messages, and we'll plan the next one.
Thank you,
everyone, for tuning in.
Thanks.